Welcome, everyone, to the Everything Show. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I am with Scott.
Hello, all.
What's up, Chris?
What's up, guys?
All right, so let me hear about Child's Play, your review first.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put this out there that I'm not a huge fan of the original Child's Play series. I've seen the first one. I know how all the other ones go. So I'm not a huge fan of them. So don't jump down my throat, anybody who's watching this, because I don't reference something or I say something provocative. If you're a huge Child's Play fan, I did like it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Now, here's my thing. I have problems with this movie, but at the end of the day, I can say it's definitely not the worst horror movie I've ever seen. In fact, I would go so far as to say that this is probably not even a horror movie to me, because at no point in this movie was I scared.
Right.
I found it a bit more interesting than the old ones, because the old ones were straight horror. Those things could scare people. That was
right.
Nailed.
Would you call it a psychological horror then?
Thriller?
No.
I
don't know. I nothing about this was scary. I found it more interesting because I like the way the doll kind of like got to the point of being, like a psychotic murderer.
Yep.
I felt like that was more interesting. Where it's definitely different than the original, because obviously in the original, Charles Lee Ray was a psychopath from the beginning.
Serial killer.
So
voodoo,
right.
Whatever.
So there was no doubt what his intention was going to be when he possessed this doll. It was like, oh, he's just going to kill people and try to get his body back, or get a new body, something like that.
Right.
This one was more like it was kind of like I'm trying to please this person and I don't know when to stop. So it just kept getting progressively worse with the intent of, oh, I think I'm doing the right thing. Till the end, obviously. But I thought it was interesting. Now, I do have to say, I think my biggest problem in this movie was Aubrey Plaza as this kid's mother.
She wasn't believable.
I did not buy that whatsoever.
Right.
The relationship that they had, to me, was more like a big sister, little brother kind of thing.
Because they made a crack about that in the movie.
They did, yeah. Like they were like, wait, you have a kid? And that kid was like 10, 11 years old. And she was like, well, my sweet 16 was really productive. And I was like, okay, great.
Oh, wow.
I think that maybe they could have, instead of her being his mother, they could have made her his older sister or something. That was my biggest issue. I really like Mark Hamill, like his portrayal.
Yes.
Like the voice was fantastic. The doll. The doll. Okay, here is my thing, and this really kind of pulled me out of the movie at times, because I was like, that's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
When the doll wasn't being psychotic, it was more frightening. But just the doll's resting face, it looked like it was melting. I was sitting there, I was like, what's going on with that face? Like, what happened? When it would get angry, the face would pull back, and it didn't look as scary. And I was like, what's going on? Why? And I know that it was supposed to be like a tongue-in-cheek thing, like, this looks creepy anyway, why would you buy one of these?
Like an Annabelle thing, right.
Right, but this was just like I was just like, okay, the doll, when he's not angry, is freaking me out more than when he is. And that's just kind of weird. And toward the end, I felt like they kind of got a bit lazy, because toward the end they were like, just CGI everything.
Oh.
Everything CGI. And it was like, okay.
Did the kids give you the feeling when they showed them together? Did give you a feeling of like the It or the Stranger Things kids?
No, not at all, because these kids were nowhere near as talented as the ones in those other shows.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for any of them except for Andy. Andy was the only one that I cared about. And that's another thing. Andy was partially deaf in this movie.
What?
Yeah.
And he had a hearing aid.
Oh,
and they played it up twice in the movie that the hearing aid was going to play some sort of role in like the downfall of this version of Chucky. And it didn't. Why is he partially deaf? These are the questions. And then, of course, the sequel baiting at the end. I was like, okay.
What was it?
Sure. So they smash the doll at the end of the movie. They burn it. You know, it's dead. And then the company that made the dolls was like, oh, we're recalling them just in case, even though it's not our fault that one of these was malfunctioning. Which is technically true. It wasn't their fault. And then at the end, when you see them loading up the dolls, one of their eyes turns red and it smiles. And so that's supposed to be.
So he's in there, or is he just another doll?
This version of the doll somehow possessed this other doll, I guess, or hacked into this other doll because there's no magic.
A personality. Okay, so the personality is
right.
just in there. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So it's like a hacker that did that, a disgruntled employee or something?
No, it's that whole, I don't know who put that out there that it was a hacker.
Okay. It wasn't a hacker.
They were completely wrong. Completely.
Okay.
Like I said with mine, it was like a disgruntled employee.
Yeah, it was disgruntled employee at the factory where they were being made, and he shut off all the safeguards for this doll, which is a question that I have, right? If this thing needs so many safeguards in order to be sold to children,
right?
What the hell were they doing with this thing before it was a toy?
Right.
Because there was literally, I don't know if you saw on the screen, Scott, but
yeah, I did.
He shut down a thing that said "Stop Violence" feature.
Yes, that was like the third. What was that? Was that the third or fourth one?
Yeah, I was like, "Stop violence!" Like, what the fuck? Like, what?
And yeah. It's just like.
So, okay, it's not without its quirks. Don't get me wrong, but like overall, I was like, okay, this wasn't awful. This was passable.
Right.
I can get behind this because I've seen so many horrible horror movies recently that this is kind of a bit better than those. So it's like, okay, maybe.
Right.
But here's my thing, and I totally get why people would be upset. If you're a hardcore Child's Play fan, if you
be careful about it.
Live and die Chucky till like the day you die, you're probably not gonna like this.
Wow.
Because this is a complete reimagining of the character, of the origin, of basically everything that goes into what makes that character that character. And trust me, as somebody who had to live through Godzilla '98, I get it.
Oh, I can't remember if I saw. I'm trying to think. Did I see it on cable or did I see it in the theaters? I forget which.
I saw it in the theaters. Matthew Broderick, you talking about Godzilla?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it in the theaters. Yeah. Wow. So, that being said, Chucky, the original universe is continuing in the TV show from the last sequel, continue right off from that. So if you want to see the real universe of Chucky, not this other timeline or whatever you want to call it, it's going to be on cable soon. So that's that. Now, Toy Story. What can we say, not say on here? We'll just say, you know, what you think.
I won't go into any spoilers, but I could just say I did not like it. I did not like the movie. I thought it wasn't very funny. It didn't have that charm that the other three had, and the ending pissed me off.
It was like somebody else didn't know what Toy Story was and just wrote it.
You know what this felt like to me? It felt like the epilogue of a novel.
Oh, shit.
It was like 3 was the ending. You were all happy. It was like, yes, good. Then there's the epilogue, and you're like, I shouldn't have read that. Now, that not all epilogues are bad, obviously, but there are some. This to me, it just felt so unnecessary. Like, we didn't need this. There was no point to have this be a movie except for let's make another one, you know? And
Yeah.
I can't even say that they were setting up for a 5 because it was like the ending of this one was just kind of like, yeah, no, it's over. It's done. Like, so
I heard they're done. I heard they're done.
Yeah,
they have to be. They have to be.
They're done. I heard. I mean, they may do a spin-off with characters, but they're done.
Yeah, I mean, they've done spin-offs before, so I could understand that. But
well, you know what? You know what the funny thing is? Something like a topic was brought up because of what we talked about too, about how if Aladdin wasn't there, right? And then we're talking about like Disney defeating Disney, right?
Sure.
This pacing of the movies that they're too close together. Like Toy Story, yes, did 118 million, but would it have done 140 million if Aladdin wasn't there? Because Aladdin has been staying number 2 or number 3 or whatever. It has over $800 million already.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, most of it, of course, foreign numbers, but still, it is like in like the freaking Royal Rumble, the guy that like goes under the ropes, hangs out outside, chills on the chair. When it gets down to the wire, like gets back in the ring, you know, and just like defeats. You know what I'm saying? Like stays in there. So that's what Aladdin is. It's just like you forget it's there, and it's chilling. So I think that Aladdin's going to be $1 billion movie. I think it's going to happen. It's like ridiculous. But anyway, it's
they're going to have to replace Jafar a sequel.
Yeah, that's overall consensus. Nobody likes Jafar of the movie.
They've got the Lion King coming up too. There was actually a graphic or a mini trailer before Toy Story started that was literally promoting what they're calling the Summer of Disney, where they were like Aladdin, Toy Story 4, and the Lion King, and it was like I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So in other words, you're going to hurt the sales of Toy Story by having Lion King come out too soon, like.
Well, I mean, they also have to. Oh, that's another thing we have to talk about. There was a big thing about Spider-Man that I wanted to get your.
Oh no.
But they forgot like Spider-Man's coming out, and I was like, I know that's a Sony thing, but like Marvel too. So why didn't you include that? Like.
Exactly. So potential spoilers for Far From Home. Okay.
No, actually, it's not.
It's not potential spoilers.
I don't know. I don't know if you heard this thing about. I guess somebody had asked Kevin Feige about a potential Spider-Man Venom crossover.
Right.
Do you know what he said to them?
It's up to Sony.
Yes, but he didn't just say it like that. He said like it's all completely up to Sony.
So that must be the new deal. They must have signed a new deal, no?
I mean, who the fuck gave them that much power?
They had no choice.
That's ridiculous. That is the worst deal I've ever heard in my life. Honestly.
They were gonna lose Spider-Man. They had one more movie left after Far From Home. And that's why they had to rapidly change everything to make Captain Marvel the face of the MCU, because they didn't feel confident from Amy Pascal motioning that he's not going to be continuing part of that. Now, she's gone, right? She left May 1st. Now, here's the interesting thing. Any article you see out there that says Amy Pascal is talking today about that is bullcrap. Because she's working for Universal. She is not promoting her former company. She is not talking up. So if you see any articles pop out there, please, common sense. She's not working there anymore. So if they still didn't sign the deal, she has nothing to do with it. She's out of the picture. She's trying to recreate the Dark Universe right now. That's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get Dark Universe off the ground. And supposedly, she made a deal, and they got Invisible Man with Blumhouse. So she's working her magic. She's getting stuff done over there. But first of all, Marvel doesn't and Disney does not want to lose Spider-Man. So what did I say that was going to happen, Chris? They're going to like give him whatever they want. Just as long as we get to put him in Avengers, we get to put him. Yeah, okay, sure.
Well, I'm really interested to hear if this was part of the old deal or if they actually did sign a new deal, because that hasn't been confirmed yet. So
they didn't sign a new deal, from what I understand yet. I think he was trying to play nice to show, hey, we're being friendly.
But that answer, though, that answer was just like real. Like I don't think he should have said that. Like,
well, the old contract was Tom Holland cannot appear in anything with Venom or any, like, it was just MCU stuff. One more Spider-Man movie, that's it. And they would try, even when they were fighting, it's a different universe or whatever. That was the deal. Like, they would have to hire a new Spider-Man. But now, looks like things have changed. Or gotta change with this contract.
That's going to be interesting, I guess. I have a funny feeling. And I'm not really too surprised by this, because I know that they said that, Tom Hardy had thrown out that challenge to Tom Holland. So I was like, okay, this is probably going to happen at some point.
Yeah, but you know what? Venom bombs, and then that's the end of that shit.
Right now, I mean, we can't even say that because Venom did extremely well.
No, but I'm talking about the second one.
Oh, that's another thing, too. I heard that the director of that movie was like, I don't want to make any R-rated movies because I want my kids or my grandkids to be able to watch them.
Oh, gosh, they're going to water that.
I was like, there goes Carnage. Like, gone.
Done. Carnage is going to be a damn joke. All right, so I want to talk about Far From Home potential spoilers, right?
Okie dokie.
Remember how we talked about Far From Home, like, way before we saw Endgame, way before it was out, and we knew that Tony Stark died, and they were going to have, like, him upset and whatever, right?
It was heavily implied, yeah.
Right. And remember how I said, watch, they're going to have something in there that, like, he's still alive and his consciousness is in the computer or the AI or whatever? Remember I was saying something like that? They were probably going to do something like that, like the comics? That's probably going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably going to happen. I'm almost sure they're going to have something in there about it, but I don't think it's going to be like, I don't know. I've said it from day one that there's going to have something in there, like a hint or something. Again, I don't know what it is. I don't know for sure, but I still feel that way. I mean, people will tell me lately, oh yeah, Tony Stark AI is in the movie. I've seen it or something, and I'm like, well, but we'll see. We'll see. Now, another thing was coming out today. I know we only got 5 minutes left. They're saying that, and this is rumor, don't be too surprised if in the Black Widow movie, I guess towards the end, we find out that Captain America had used another Infinity Stone, the reality gem, to save the Black Widow, and like use the reality thing to alter reality where her soul, she's okay and she's alive again. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds like fan fiction to me.
You think so?
Yeah.
What about this? What if the main purpose of this Black Widow movie is for her to establish a successor?
That I'd be okay with. That would be pretty cool.
Sort of like Hawkeye training an apprentice.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with that. I think that would be like an interesting way to kind of keep that going, because I don't think that she's coming back, and if she does, I don't think it's going to be for a while. So
yeah.
I'd be with that.
I'm under the impression of the comic book ways that I don't care what they say, because they always do this, Chris. She's coming back, Black Widow, and Robert Downey Jr. is coming back at some point in time too. I feel that way, but we'll see what happens. I think that
they'll find ways, like, I don't think that they're going to revive them, but I think that they'll find ways to bring them back if they need them for future stories.
Right.
Because that time machine was not destroyed. As far as we know, that time machine is still active, and they still know how to use it. So, let's say they wanted to do A versus X. There's nothing stopping them from going back and being like, we need Cap from this point. We need Iron Man from this point. And then doing what they did with the Infinity Stones, bringing them back to the point that they left, and then erasing their minds or something like that.
Right. I got to tell you, there's the Doctor Strange thing they're gonna cancel Doctor Strange, but supposedly they're gonna kill him off in the comics because they have the cover of the comic where he's meditating. He's like this, and there's an assassin behind him with the soul sword that's gonna chop his head off.
Great.
So I mean, I don't know why they do this because he's gonna come back. I mean, but supposedly I have to look into it because I didn't read Doctor Strange. It's saying something he's the Herald of Galactus. I'm like, what? Because remember they did that stupid space stuff. Not crazy.
Yeah.
Bye. All right, we're running out of time. So thank you guys. Take care. Bye for now.